Hello there, good people, and welcome to episode 8 of Peeling the Onion, where I had the enormous pleasure to sit down with Mr. David Yow. You probably know him as the singer for the band Jesus Lizard. He was also in a great band in the 80s called Scratch Acid, and he's been doing a lot of acting in the last few years. His newest movie is called A Desert. Recommend you go check that out. It's been getting really good reviews. David was very humble and just a nice guy to talk to. I went all out fanboy in this interview, which I usually try to keep under wraps, so you'll forgive me for that. The Jesus Lizard, they're releasing their first studio album in 26 years today, Friday the 13th, 2024. It's called Rack, and I've been listening to it and it's fucking awesome. So you should go out and check that one out. So, without further ado, I really hope you like my chat with Mr. David Yow. Dude, thank you for coming on, man. I really do fucking appreciate it, taking your time. So.
Oh, well, my pleasure.
I was wondering, like, if we should have a beer together. Is it too early for you in LA to crack open a beer?
Oh, not completely, but I'm probably not going to have one right away.
Okay, we'll do it later. We'll do it as a closer.
Okay.
Okay, let's get into it. I think I want to start talking about the new Jesus Lizard album, Rack.
Okay.
First one in 26 years on Epic.
Yeah.
You already released like 3 singles with accompanying music videos. One of which is made by you, Alexis Feels Sick, which is a delightful bad acid trip. Is this the first time you work with AI, or?
Yeah. A friend of ours, a friend of my wife's and mine, does this thing. What does Cameron call her thing? Cameron Romance. Yeah, a friend here in Los Angeles has a thing she calls Cameron Romance. And her first show, it's pretty much just her and this other girl. But they had these projected videos of AI stuff, and it was so fucked up and cool. Like, like a hand coming out of an elbow and a face turning around and just so weird. Like it's like somebody with a really great imagination, but I just can't think of a human coming up with these ideas. And so with that video, I really like the shit that I prompted it to do whatever. And of course, I, like so many other people, have a problem with AI because it's terrifying, and it's kind of, I've heard people complain, like bitching about me doing AI in the video. And if anybody has a right to complain, it's me, because I do photo retouching for a living. I do Photoshop stuff, and I haven't had any work in 4 months. And part of that is due to AI. So I have a serious problem with it in existence, but I really like the fucked upness of what the videos do.
It's cutting into your work.
Yeah. I mean, since the band broke up, I've been doing photo retouching since 1999.
Right.
And since I've lived out in LA, I've been doing it for movies, billboards and one sheets, bus stops. And I have had like maybe 6 hours of work in the last 3 months.
Really? Okay. So if I can ask you, what the fuck are you gonna do?
I guess do some Jesus Lizard shows.
I mean, but this AI, it's like this perfect medium to make this fucking nightmare shit like you were doing. Like the evil dogs, was that just the cat person you taking a stance, or where did that come from, if I may ask?
Which part?
The evil dogs at the end of the video?
Well, the motion stuff was done in a program called hold on, I'll tell you what the program's called. Pika, Pika.
Okay.
And but then the stills of the dogs was Photoshop. I just
Ah,
type in a prompt and put like terrifying, mean, three-legged dog with big teeth, and it would do that. So yeah, at the end there are 65 of those dogs.
I would not want to watch that video on psychedelics. I mean, I like I'm a fairly sensitive person who would have fucked me up for sure.
Well, that's a great compliment. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I seem to kind of be on the cutting edge. Like you were going back to Pro Tools number 2, and and you were an early adapter like the M-Box and kind of Pro Tools. It seems like you kind of have this inkling into to get onto new like creative medium technology. Like, am I pigeonholing you in a box right now by saying that, or?
No, that's interesting. I had not thought of that, but yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably wrong, but I think I got the first inbox in Chicago. I think I was the first person to have an inbox,
Right.
but that was only because a friend of mine, Alex Hacka from Einstürzen in Neubauten,
Yeah.
had shown me the rudiments of Pro Tools.
Right. Right.
So
How did
right away when the inbox came out, I got one.
how did you get to know Alex?
When Scratch Acid went to Europe in 1986,
Yeah.
I think Alex was at one of the shows, I think in Hamburg, and we just really hit it off and became
Right.
friends. And he went with us for like 5 or 6 more shows and just getting
Nice.
fucked up all the time.
Right. I don't know him personally, but I did Belixa a few months ago on this show, so I was really studying these guys, and Alex seems to be all of them seems to be top-notch guys.
Isn't that weird? I mean, you would just expect them to be assholes.
It's funny because when I listen to Blixa videos, he's often an asshole in interviews, but the soonest that he found out that I really knew stuff, then he really just he was like a puppy dog for
Oh,
sure.
that's great.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit into rack. I read somewhere that you weren't really sold on doing the new album until you heard like some really good demos that resonated with you. Is that accurate, or how was it?
That's pretty accurate. Yeah, I think that the other three guys, David, Mac, and Duane, they were fucking around with some ideas without having told me, um, which I think strategically was a good idea
Mm-hmm.
because we broke up. We're not a band. It's like fucking an old girlfriend. Like I didn't see any need or any reason for us to make any more music.
Right.
I thought I considered it that we were done. And then Duane played me some of the ideas, and I thought, okay, this is really good. Let's do it. And it was cool that I mean, we didn't have a label. There was no record label attached to us. So we were just sort of winging it, just whatever the fuck. And
Right.
then when we're done, then take it around. Like we gave Corey at Touch and Go the first opportunity. We offered it to him,
Ah, okay.
and he said he really liked it, but Touch and Go is really not an operating label anymore. They
Right.
pretty much put out shellac stuff and reissues.
Right.
So I'm glad as he was as frank and honest as he was. Of course, he said, no, this is not the place for you.
Yeah. Kind of
Hey,
like
you know what? I think I'm going to get a beer. I'll be back in
which one are you gonna get?
44 seconds.
Which one are you gonna get?
Um, Stella? Salud. What do you say in Iceland?
You say skál.
Skal.
Yeah, which means
Like skull.
yes, call, but it means a bowl also. Awesome. Drinking beer with a fucking legend. That makes me feel good. So was the writing process for Rack, was it similar to earlier Jesus Lizard album, or how did it differ?
Well, when we were a band back in the 90s, at first we all four lived together. And so we were around each other all the time, whether writing, practicing, touring, recording, just whatever. And then we didn't live together, but we practiced 6 days a week and stuff. Now, David's in New York, Mac's in Chicago, Duane's in Nashville, and I'm in LA.
Yeah.
And so the collaboration was not nearly as organic as it had been
Okay.
previously. And so it was weird. It didn't seem natural to me at all. Like instead of the four of us being in a room saying, no, that's cool, like just do that part 2 more times and don't do that part or slow it down or whatever. There wasn't as much of that collaboration as usual. So we would send recordings back and forth, and then 2 or 3 times a year we would converge in Nashville to go work on songs for a week or so.
Okay.
That being said, I'm happy with the record. I'm surprised that it worked out as well as it did.
I mean, there were sparks in the new record that I hadn't anticipated. So, you know, for sure.
Yeah.
So your primary role would be writing the lyrics and the vocal melodies, right?
I'm sorry, say it again.
I said your primary role has been writing the vocals and the lyrics.
Correct.
You know, the vocal melodies and the lyrics. Okay. How involved are the other guys in dictating how you deliver the vocals or writing of the words, would you say?
That's a great question. Not very much.
Okay.
When we were recording the record, which we did really fast. I think we did 14 songs in 11 days.
The initial recording was just done like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had done drums, guitar, and bass first, and then there was this one day when we were doing vocals, and it was really hard. Particularly Duane, just had some very specific ideas that he didn't like. Like on Alexis Feels Sick, I was doing when he goes, Alexis, Alexis. I really wanted that to crack, to be like out of control, like amateurish almost.
Yeah.
It was a hard day. They seemed to be picking on me that day, and we were all staying at Duane's house, and then when we got back to the house after however many hours, I just went straight to my room.
Right.
Closed the door. It was just a shitty day, but it all worked out okay. You know.
Because I used to be a drummer, then I was a guitar player and a singer and everything. And when you're singing, you have to do it from your soul or it's not going to work out, you know? And it's easy to just do the drums or the guitar and just be like, fuck it. With the vocals, for me, you really have to feel that shit, and you really have to be in a comfortable space, because when you start kind of selling yourself short for yourself or someone else, it really comes through. Or like, how do you feel about that?
No, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be, like you said, your soul. It has to be real.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Yeah. So when you did lyrics, do you make up the vocal melody first and then write lyrics on top, or do you have words prepared? How is your working ethic?
It's sort of both. Usually I'll write the words and then figure out some sort of pattern or like structure or like phrasing that goes along or doesn't go along with the music. It was this record. Are you familiar with Lassa Del Sol, the Canadian woman?
I'm not.
She's dead now, but she did a record called The Living Road, that I
Okay.
think might be the best record ever made.
A little
And I
girl.
kind of stole some of her ideas from, she sounds nothing like the Jesus Lizard.
Right.
She's more like if Tom Waits was a woman.
Yeah.
But just a really great record. And I've never been much of one to sort of plagiarize um, lyrical or vocal ideas, but I kind of did on a couple songs
Yeah.
with with this record from
But,
her.
but kind of made it your own.
Yeah. Yeah, you would never know. I could tell you specifically and you'd listen to it and go, okay, I think I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you go back and pick up the bass and be like, hey, David, this bass line might work? Or do you guys cross instruments when you're in the process, especially in the 90s when you were all together in a room?
We didn't switch instruments, but there was a lot of suggestions and stuff like, do more of that, do that
Yeah.
harder, like,
Yeah.
you know, maybe rest right here. It's a lot of that kind of push and pull and ideas flowing. That's why, like I was saying, it wasn't as naturally collaborative as it has always been
For
in the
sure.
past.
Yeah.
Um, there, the last song on the record, "Swan the Dog."
Yeah.
I it's a really weird song. It might be my favorite on the record, but I wanted
Yes.
it to be completely linear. Like once a part happens, it won't happen again.
Right.
And we were aiming at that, but then there's parts that repeat. Um, I still think it would have been more interesting if this part goes 8 times and it never happens again.
Yeah.
Um, but you can't always get what you want.
Wasn't that one of the great things when you guys were living like all together back in Chicago and rehearsing 8 hours a day and like taking ideas back and forth, that people weren't taking them personally, you know? Like, wasn't that kind of a magic? Or did people take them personally and you had to kind of grind it out, or how was that?
Um, I don't have any memories of people being offended by any kind of like suggestions or
Okay.
stuff. It was always pretty copacetic.
Yeah.
The four of us are very lucky in that we get along really well.
Yeah.
Um, I know some bands who they don't. They get in fist fights at practice and shit.
But then
Um,
they still make like good like music. Lauren is calling me. Do you mind if I answer her and tell her we're
Go
on?
ahead.
So do you go back to like written notes or utilize stuff you've written earlier in lyrics, or how does that go?
Um, um, with Rack, once I knew that we were really going to make a record and we were really going to do all these songs and stuff, and the pressure is on, and I have to hurry up and write some ideas. I did what is called automatic writing, where you just allot yourself like 5 minutes or 8 minutes or 15 minutes and just write nonstop. You don't stop at all. It doesn't matter if it makes sense or if it's good or bad or whatever, but ideas can come out of that. Um, excuse me.
Yeah.
So that's what I did with most of it. One of the songs, Lord Godiva, is actually we wrote that in 1996 or 97.
Ah, really?
That song is really old. There are people who have been born and grown up and died in the time that Lord Godiva has been a song. So
Because it's funny, you often mix up with like real stuff with fictional stuff, and one would hope that like the later Godiva falls in the latter category with you pissing on corpses and crushing my sister's skull. Sorry, I'm hitting my computer here. But you paint a really good picture in that, like, really good picture painting, for sure.
thank you very much. Yeah, I like that song. It's so juvenile.
Yeah, and just good lyrics. Like you mentioned Swan the dog. the Wits, Armistice Day, Dunning-Kruger. It's just like really good lyric writing, like really good stuff. And I mean, stuff you don't often expect from people who haven't done it in that long a time. And I've just been really grooving on those lyrics. So like, are these all your lyrics, or did the guys come in and chip in, or how is it?
Duane wrote "What If."
Yeah, okay.
Everything else, it was me.
Okay. That was a good one. It was awesome to see you go back into this stuff like you were doing on like pastoral and elegy, and like expanding upon that with the neutral vocal. I've always been a fan of the Yow neutral vocal style.
Thank you.
It was cool to, you know.
One thing with this record, there's not nearly as many Yowisms. This is like long, weird, stupid noises. I got like when we recorded Blue with Andy Gill, he kept wanting me to do more of that stuff, like just the weird noises and shit. And I was going, I don't want to do that. I've done that 1,000 times. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot less of it this time around, which isn't, I don't know if it's good or bad. It's just that I'd had enough, you know.
I mean, didn't Andy have like more hand in the vocal arrangement than other like, yeah, of you than other producers that you worked with previously?
Yeah, but he had really good ideas. There were like some good melodic ideas and rhythmic ideas.
Yeah.
And that recording with him was so much fun. It was a lot of give and take with Andy.
Yeah, you were working together with stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it all Joe Parisi to like mix your vocal up on shot, or did you have a hand in it to be like, okay, fuck it, let them hear the Yow?
Yeah, Joe did a great job of mixing those records. I think the Touch and Go records that we did with Steve, Steve and I both, we always had this idea that if the vocals are kind of hard to hear, it makes everything seem louder.
Mm-hmm.
You have to strain to hear the vocals.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody in the music biz thinks that.
No, definitely not.
Joe Barisi definitely wanted the vocals more prominent.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool to hear on Head. That's when like the prodded caged animal vibe really starts kicking in. If you compare it to Pure, you know, was that something that happened just when the songs were coming together, or did you have a vocal coach? So because I see a stark change, you know.
I think a lot of that stuff on those early recordings had to do with Steve would really want, he really liked the weird shit that I would do, and he would encourage me to do more of that.
Yeah.
And also in those earlier recordings, I was drunk as shit every time we did those songs. You mentioned Pastoral.
Yeah.
When we had a list of songs and we would check off each song that we'd done, and we showed up at the studio one morning, and I said, I still need to do Pastoral. And Steve said, no, we did that last night. I had zero recollection of doing that song. And that's the recording that's on the record. I was so drunk, I don't remember doing it.
That's a funny fucking story. And that's one of the best songs on, like, on, or one of your best songs, man. Like, I don't know. I really like Slave Ship and like an Elegy and like these slow songs. And mostly because the band is able to groove like motherfuckers, but then you come in with like this thing that you do that just like makes it fucking beautiful. You know what I mean?
I love you, Elvar. You're the best guy.
No, but it's funny that you were out of your mind on Pastoral. Like it's because you're so kind of, you know, delicate. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I know. Keep going.
Yeah, I can definitely tell if I listen to Pastoral, I can definitely tell that I was really drunk.
Yeah, I mean, you know yourself, you know. Can I ask you a little bit about Scratch Acid? Is that okay?
Sure.
Uh,
Well,
because you opened up, you worked with Kerry Crafton on the first EP, right? Wasn't his name
yeah.
Kerry Crafton? Didn't he like engineer half of Tune-Ons and a Pack Mule?
Yes.
Did he have a lot of hand in the sound of the album? Do you remember?
Ah, man, it's hard for me to remember. I don't think that the one thing I remember most about Carrie was not in the first EP, but the Berserker EP.
Okay.
One of the songs I wanted the vocals really distorted. And so we ran the vocals through a guitar amp and mic'd that. And I remember Terry didn't like it. He goes, "Well, great. That's just great. There goes my Emmy."
There goes my
Um,
Emmy.
yeah, which I was pretty funny because he's not going to get an Emmy.
Which
But he
song was
didn't like.
that? Mary, crying out loud, mourns, mourning, skin drips. This is a bliss, flying houses. Maybe hard to tell if this was like in 87, so I don't foul you for not
Yeah,
remembering.
I I think it was Skin Drips.
Okay.
But
So
also Carrie was he was a devout Christian.
was
And
he?
yeah, and so it was interesting, like the dead princess lay screaming and her cunt's ripped. He wasn't judgmental. He didn't complain at all at any point. He was encouraging, uh, which I thought was really cool because I'm not a Christian or anything, but he was the kind of Christian that Jesus wanted people to be,
Yeah.
instead of the do what I say, think the way I do, none of that shit.
Sure. Okay. I was a Christian. I didn't know that. It's funny when people talk about the Scratch Acid influences. They're always like Birthday Party, Cramps. Of course, you were influenced by Flipper, and they go like The Fall, Sonic Youth, Big Black, and thing. But then there was an interview back in '86, and people were asking like about influences, and David name checked Van Halen, AC/DC, and Aerosmith. Okay, Brad talked about Physical Gravity. You talked about Precious and Jesus Christ Superstar, and Ray talked about Jeff Beck and Captain Beefheart. That's fucking hilarious. And everyone was like, birthday party, right? Blah, 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 back in the days, or what? Do you
Well,
remember?
yeah. Do you remember some years ago, Touch and Go had their 25th anniversary?
Sure.
Scratch Acid reformed for that. Laughing, not laugh, Negative Approach, Killdozer, the Digits and stuff. And I was talking to Buzz from the Melvins before that happened, and he said, "Well, they should just have the birthday party play." For the Touch and Go reunion, and that way you would cover all the bases. You got Killdozer and Laughing Hiatus and Jesus Lizard and Scratch Acid.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna reunite. Like, isn't he deceased? The guitar player died a few years ago.
Yeah. Tracy Pugh's dead and Roland Howard's dead.
Roland. Yeah, Roland. Yeah, and Tracy, was that the bass player?
Yeah, he died a long time ago.
I didn't know that. Okay.
I think like 85 or something like that. 86.
Okay. But it's funny, I read an interview with you from like 1991, and you opened it up with saying like you hate the question, what are you influenced? That's one of the stupidest questions an interviewer could ask. Do you remember that?
Not specifically, but yeah.
But you had a good point. You said like you often come up with a few names, but that narrows it down. You can't, of course, like name all of them, but
Well, it's just weird because you're influenced by everything that happens to you each day.
of course.
It's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be a musical
Doesn't have to
thing.
be banned,
It's,
yeah.
talking to you, like this guy in Iceland, and he's just a swell fella, and we're having a good time, and I'm having a beer, and my
Yeah.
wife went to work, and
No, sure.
it's the answer to what are your influences is everything.
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely. If I keep talking about Scratch Acid, if you don't mind, it's so funny because that's the first EP you had been singing like openly for like a fucking year, and you still come up with like Owner's Lament. That's fucking mind-blowing composition, you know. And I don't know, like when you were coming out, have you ever studied like support or complete vocal techniques or anything like that?
Well, I was in a band for a little while called Quee,
Yeah,
and it was just a three-piece: drums, guitar, and vocals.
yeah,
And those guys taught me a fair amount about singing and trying to hit keys and stuff.
right.
And actually, several years ago, Chris Novoselic from Nirvana emailed me and said, "Hey, we need to talk." And he
Uh-huh,
said that he and Dave Grohl and Pat Smear were going to be doing this thing called Experience Music in
uh-huh,
Seattle. And it was going to be the first time that they played since Kurt died.
uh-huh,
He wanted me to sing.
uh-huh.
And I said, well, that's absolutely ridiculous, like whatever. But so we started that in motion, and Kurt could actually sing. And the vocals on like Smells Like Teen Spirit, it's way, way higher than you think. And so I couldn't do all that. So I hired Paul, the drummer from Quee, for 3 months. He was my vocal coach, and he taught me how to sing those Nirvana songs. And
Ah,
so I think that helped a lot with like sort of muscle memory and um, trying to be able to do what a vocalist is supposed to do, where you
yeah,
kind of match octaves or tones or whatever.
yeah,
So I think I'm better at that now than I used to be, but in the old days, it never really occurred to me. It wasn't something, it wasn't in my radar.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just sort of would wing it and see how it goes.
I mean, to talk about Queen, like with that album, you do some like intense, you like you're really pushing your voice on some of these songs, like uh, what was it called? Freeze. There's a song called Freeze,
Uh,
where you're doing stuff that I never heard you do before. So that was awesome to hear that. That was like in 2007. I don't know if you
oh,
remember that song.
I kind of don't. It's been a while.
Okay. But like, I don't know, it's interesting to hear you on this Scratch Acid stuff because you're coming out kind of a fully fledged vocalist with your own style. I mean, did you know you had vocal abilities before starting to sing? Did you sing at home, like to Beatles song and stuff, or how was it?
No, no, you're very nice. Thank you. No, I never thought that I had any vocal abilities.
Because you come out kind of with this fully formed style and you can hear yourself like honing on it and making it like a little more defined on the Jesus Lizard. But I don't know. I was showing people this first Scratch Acid, and I've been like, this guy sang for a fucking, and you don't sound like anyone. You could be like, who would you if you had to compare yourself to someone? Who would you be? Like back against the wall, just to name
Well,
a name.
I think that first Scratch Acid record, it was very Nick Cave. It was very Birthday Party, I
Birthday
thought.
party.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've tried to. I mean, I remember dating this girl when Scratch Acid was new, and I was listening to this recording of us, I think a live recording of us, and I was ashamed. I was embarrassed that it sounded like somebody mimicking Nick Cave,
You
and
felt it was like that. Yeah.
I didn't want that. And so, but I also think, and I've said this before, I think that it's normal and to be expected that with any art form, it's likely that you will be influenced by somebody who you like a lot, and that will come out in the work that you do.
Yeah.
And then ideally and hopefully you sort of grow and become your own thing. But I think the very early Scratch Acid was very, very Nick Cave.
Okay.
But I like to think that, I left that behind and I worked it out.
No, you definitely did. You became more unhinged, you know.
Mhm.
So
Like I remember with Scratch Acid, early on, I was concerned about, what I was doing or whatever. And Brett, the guitar player, just kept saying, just be yourself, man. You're fucking David Yow. Just do whatever you want. Be yourself. I'm like, what does that mean?
yeah,
How do I do that?
yeah. I don't know. For some people, it worked to do drugs and alcohol to get there, you know. For, no, for me, it usually works out being sober, maybe a little weed, then I can do it, Scott. But, yeah, of course, you gotta get the ego out of the way, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I feel I'm not putting ideas in your head, but I feel like you have had like a good job just pushing your ego out of the way and just going for it. Or what would you say with that statement? How do you feel about that?
Um, well, thank you for saying that. I, I yeah, ego can be a real problem. Like with the Quee record, when we made that record and we started shopping it around and we sent it to Greg Workman at Ipecac with
Yeah,
Mike Patton and Greg Workman. And Greg was so freaked out on this record. He said, David, this record is fucking great. And we're going to really run with it. And then I sent it to Botch, who was the Jesus Lizards manager and booking agent. And he said, well, the last thing I want to do right now is take on another band, but this record is so great. I'm going to, work with you guys. And so I told Matt and Paul, the drummer and the guitar player, because right then it looked like this was going to explode. It looked like the shit that people were saying was just so flattering. And
okay.
and I told them, this is nice, but don't let it go to your head. Don't start thinking that it's all true, you know.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, I think ego can really fuck stuff up.
Yeah.
And I tried to not be such an asshole.
I mean, was that a problem when the Jesus Lifter was taken off that people were like, "Yeah, you're the fucking greatest frontman, fucking, showstopper," were
No,
people
because yeah, no.
you didn't give them a chance. You were just like, "Fuck up." No,
I
I'm
mean,
just
it's
kidding.
it's really flattering and it's nice to hear that stuff, but I mean, I still don't buy it. I've watched videos of us and I was going, what's so fucking great? This guy's a great musicians, whatever.
Yeah.
But the I think we get credit for being a better live band than we really are.
Do you feel you guys are not that great of a live band?
No, I think we're pretty good. I mean, those guys are like a machine. They're so precise.
Yeah.
And you've heard so many times like, yeah, well, that's the thing with the Jesus. Those guys are like a robotic machine. Then Yow's crazy and he acts like crazy and shit.
Are you displeased with your live performances, if I may ask, or what?
Well, I have been most of the time not. Uh, it's okay. Like you were saying, like we were saying, it has to come from your soul and it has to be real. Um, there have been a handful of shows where I just didn't want to do it. I just, for whatever reason, like I was bummed out about something or I was tired or whatever. I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But and so I was forced into a situation of like, okay, well, this is what I would do usually on this song. I just like it would be like mimicking myself,
Okay.
and that really sucks. That's a drag when that happens. It doesn't happen very often, uh, but yeah, typically, it's good and fun and
Yeah.
rewarding.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Also, if you get a few beers in, then you're able to just like enjoy it and, like not think too much about it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I always call that lubricated. There's a very fine line
It's a very
where,
fine
you
line.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, too much drink or too much whiskey, yeah, you can fuck it up.
But you guys, you played so many fucking shows between 89 and 99. You were out there fucking grinding it. Some years more than other. Like I think 1990 and 91. No, it's 91 and 92. Those were like your big touring year. You were doing like it crazy. And I can imagine it gets tired. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, fuck man. We did like there would be like 16 nights in a row and then a travel day and then 12 nights in a row, then a day off, then 14 nights in a row.
Right.
Grueling. Do you have this book?
I do have this book.
Okay, because
Yeah.
that's yeah, that my favorite part of it is at the end where it's got the list of the shows we played.
Yeah. Let me go
And
through it here with on
it's
my.
kind of remarkable.
It is.
And David Sims made this list.
Did you guys book your own shows yourselves?
No, we this guy David Viacelli Botch from a company called Billions. He booked us from the start. We
Why
were we
hit?
were we were already friends with him, and when we started to do shows, he booked all that stuff.
Okay. So did he care about you guys playing in front of? Because I always remember talking to Steve Albini, and he, especially in the later years, Shellac only did shows in front of sympathetic audience, and but I mean they had their day jobs, so that so it like kind of made sure that they enjoyed every single show. You know what I mean? Stuff
Well,
like that.
yeah, I mean, they had some great ideas. Like they would do early morning shows, like 8 a.m., which I thought was a great idea.
Where did they do that? At festivals?
I think a few times. I know in the States they did several. I know of in Chicago they played some, shows at like 8 or 9 in the morning.
For the people who were still like wired?
Been up all night.
No, but you guys were doing a lot of shows. Like you were kind of out on the road constantly when I look at this.
Yeah, and that was another weird thing about Rack because none of the songs out except for Lord Godiva had any road time. And in the old days, we'd write a song and we'd play them live. We'd play these songs that nobody had heard live, and they would sort of metamorphose and change through that,
Right.
um, which became sort of a methodology. These with Rack that didn't happen. What? Yeah.
But the cool thing is, like, you did that Capital deal, you know, you were able to buy a house and stuff, like, fucking kudos to you. But after signing to Capital, you're still stuck to the low cost touring ethic, touring in vans, maybe having just one more van with you for like merchandise and stuff, and not going overboard with the equipment tax and all that. So
Yeah.
you also, was that like a group consensus, or was there someone who was like, hey guys, let's fucking do it like that?
Oh, very much. We were always very frugal. And uh one of the cool things like Gibby from the Butthole Surfers was an accountant. He graduated accounting student of the year from Trinity University in San Antonio.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And David Sims, our bass player, is also an accountant. And it's a
Yes.
great asset to have an accountant in your band because they, you know, you keep the spending down, you keep the profit margin good, and like you were talking about when you were learning to sing and stuff, and you're doing pavement shit. Um, we did the '95 Lollapalooza, and Pavement was also on that tour. And Botch, who booked and managed us, also booked and managed Pavement. And we were the only bands on the bill that didn't have a bus and didn't have like a big backdrop, a great big backdrop for the stage. And so after a few shows, it was suggested that we get a backdrop and Pavement get a backdrop. But I mean, yeah, I mean, frugality, and you hear stories of bands getting fucked by the record companies and getting fucked here and fucked there and stuff.
Yeah.
We kind of tried to avoid that by just doing as much of the stuff as we could on our own. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I should probably get another Stella.
Yeah.
Is your
Please
name
do.
Elvar Elvarsson?
Yeah. In Iceland, it means my dad was called Elvar. So he has me. So I am Elvar Elvarsson, the son of Elvar.
Okay, cool.
If I was a girl, I would be called Elvars dóttir, the daughter of Elvar. I mean, in the States, you take your father's name, right?
Um, Not necessarily. I mean, I do. My father's middle name was Lambeth, and my middle name is Lambeth.
Ah, okay. I mean, like Yow. Is that your dad's, like, your dad was named Yow after his father, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And your mom, is she like, does she have the Yow last name also?
No, she took her name was Blankenship. Her last
Blankenship.
name was Blankenship, and
Ah,
then took Yao when she married my dad.
okay. Are they not alive, your parents, anymore, if I may ask?
No, they're gone.
Okay. I remember the video, like in '95, where you were like, stood with them at the festival, and you were like, say hi, mom. And she was like, hi, mom. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful. You guys did 3 shows last June. I think it was the first in 5 years. Am I right about that?
It's something like that. I'm not sure how many years.
It's awesome to see it. You're still going nuts, dive into the fucking crowd, man. I was showing my friend, and I was like, look at this motherfucker. Like, do you get like a connection to the people, or what? Doing it.
Oh yeah, I like that. I mean, ever since like the punk rock in Austin, Texas, when I was a kid, it was always just, you know, you're right there. You have to be connected to the audience.
Yeah, you
I,
talked about like the no barrier thing between the audiences of the band,
yeah,
So many people of your generation who grew up on the 70s rock and then went to and saw punk shows, and they were just like fucking in awe with how, you know, like in your face and brotherhood it was.
absolutely. I mean, it was life changing. The first punk rock show I ever saw, it changed everything. I was in college and I said, "Fuck this! I'm not going to finish college. You know, I don't want to work. I just want to be in punk rock." It just,
Yeah.
it's a cliche like, "Oh man, you changed my life." It changed my fucking life.
Was that the Hunch on Halloween night back in 79 that
Yeah,
gig? And did
yeah,
that one gig be like, fuck it, I'm out of school?
yeah,
That's fucking awesome.
yeah.
It is, man.
Man,
It's
I want to shake your hand. You're just swell.
no, because I'm born in 1988. Okay, so I grew up in Iceland, and I still remember pre-social media when we were taking buses out into the suburbs to see some random band play on a Thursday, So you saw the Dicks, the Big Boys. Did you see Daniel Johnston?
Oh, sure.
Okay, often.
Not often. I'd see him on the street more than shows, and he worked at he worked at near the University of Texas campus. He worked at a McDonald's there.
McDonald's. Yeah.
We called him Daniel McJohnston.
Oh, did
And
you
yeah, he'd come up and he'd go, hi, here's my cassette, and if you want to do one of my songs, you can do one of my
did you have like
songs.
a personal relationship with the guy?
No, I mean he knew who I was and I knew who he was, but we never really hung out.
I have some like awesome drawings here because he came here in 2013 and I was in his band. So we just rehearsed all of the songs, met him the day at the gig. But this is 2013, so he wasn't able, like, he didn't want to talk and stuff, you know. He was kind of getting sick. But I gave him this picture of Jesus riding in to Jerusalem on Palm Sunday when they had all the palm trees. So it's Jesus on a horse and some mountains in the backside. And I gave it to him and said, can you write on this? And he drew like a dinosaur standing behind the mountain and gave it back to me. And I have it here. I have to fucking scan it. So that was
That's great.
that was a really good.
Probably at that time, I saw him at the Hollywood Bowl. He opened up for, it was Daniel Johnston, the Breeders, and Neutral Milk Hotel.
Wow.
I couldn't believe that I was seeing Daniel Johnston at the fucking Hollywood Bowl. And when he was finished, he got a standing ovation and he had a walker. And it took probably close to a minute for him to get all the way off stage in his walker.
What year are we talking about?
What?
What year are we talking about?
I think that same, like around 2015, 2013, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was remarkable. I mean, never would you ever have thought Daniel Johnston will play the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah, isn't that like a huge fucking...
It's enormous. It's,
yeah.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's, you know, the fucking Beatles played there.
He's got a resurrection. But he was shutting down. His brother was there. I was able to talk to him. He was great, you know. But Neutral Milk Hotel, where are they from?
I think Georgia.
Georgia, okay. They came here. I saw them. That was really nice on like a reunion thing.
Yeah, I'm not that familiar with them. My wife really loves them, and I've heard some of the stuff through her. But
yeah, this is like in the airplane over the sea about like the Holocaust. It's really good.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember being in Auschwitz, like on my own at 9 in the morning, listening to that and just fucking crying. It was really, really.
Oh
good.
wow, that's heavy.
Really good.
Wow.
So I want to ask you about the first EP with Scratch Acid, if you don't mind. When you look at the writing credits, like the first side is written by single people, and then the second side is written by like groups of 2 or 3, but there's only one song in your catalog, El Expectro, that's written by the whole band. Was it very like, you know, random how the songs came together for Scratch Acid?
God, I don't remember. I mean,
Okay.
that was such a weird way to credit that stuff. We've decided that ever since then that like just say it was by the band, you know, we don't need to pick out specifics. Yeah, I don't know why or how that was arranged like that. I mean, everybody wrote their own parts and stuff.
Okay. But with the Jesus Lizard, I mean, how much of Goat was ready when you went to Steve Albini? Not Goat. How much of Pure was ready when you went to Steve Albini and finished it? Was it a finished product before you recorded it? Do you remember?
I think, well, David and Duane and I had worked on that stuff in Texas.
Uh-huh.
Before David and I moved to Chicago.
Right.
And it was only, I think, 6 songs.
Yeah.
And they were pretty simple.
So, yeah.
I don't remember, like, I know Duane came up to Chicago to record that and then ended up moving to Chicago, but I don't remember how well we had it formed. I think it was like ready to go. We just went to the studio.
When he showed the songs, were they ready or did you write the vocal melodies on most of them? Or like, how was that?
Um, David wrote and on the record he sings Blockbuster.
Right.
And then he wrote, well, I forgot the name of the song, Rabid Pigs. He wrote that.
Ah,
And he
just
wrote
David.
Blockbuster.
Yeah, about the old label, right?
Yeah, Rabid Cat.
Was it not an amicable split?
No, it was not.
Okay.
No, they're swell girls and stuff, but they came into some money and just decided like let's play record company. And so they got
Okay.
a contract from like a major label that had a 16-page contract. And it was just they didn't know what they were doing. They
Yeah.
want on their priority list was to get a magnet to stick on the car door so you're driving your car and
Okay.
Rabid
Okay.
Cat Records. Like, what the fuck are
Okay.
you doing?
Okay. I want to be mindful of our time. Like, how are you on time? I don't want to hold you too long.
I'm okay. I need to go pretty soon though.
Okay, let's go through a few more things. We can always talk later. I mean, I really like talking to you. We can shoot the shit, you know. We don't have
Okay.
to go through everything. Uh, you went to John Peel in early 91. How was that?
Did what?
Like after you finished recording Goat, you went to England and did like tours in like February, May and April, and then you did the John Peel session.
Oh, right.
I don't know.
Um,
Did you feel that was like a star in your, you know,
it's sort of kind of. I mean, John Peel wasn't there.
right?
The guy who recorded it, I think, had was
Ah,
from Gentle Giant.
okay.
I think, but the only thing I remember specifically about that, I think we did that at BBC, and that was
Okay.
pretty cool being at BBC,
Right.
where the London Philharmonic Symphony Orchestra records and stuff.
Right.
But mostly, I just remember at one point the guy said, "Well, it's not music for pussies, is it?" And I really like that. You know, it doesn't sound like something an English guy would say, but he just said, "It's not music for pussies."
Dude, I remember being a kid and just starting to smoke pot and listening to the Velvet Underground and David Bowie and then putting the Jesus Lister on and listening to Dudley. Na 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 na. And I'd be like, fuck, what's go like I almost felt there was non-music. But the beautiful thing about the lizard is you listen to it for the fifth time and you're like, what the fuck? 10th time is the fucking masterpiece. It really, it's a music that really awards with listens. You know what I mean? Have you had a band like that where you listen to it the first time and you're like, I don't know, I don't get these guys. But then it really, you know,
Yeah, yeah, a handful. The first one that pops to mind though is Led Zeppelin, because
really,
when their last real album, Presence,
yeah,
when that came out, I didn't like it very much, and it grew on me like this is fucking phenomenal. It's just
right,
fucking incredible.
right, right. That's the first rock concert you went to, like back in what May in '77, the Led Zeppelin at the what was it called? The
At
Summit.
The
Yeah.
Summit in Houston, yeah.
That gig is on YouTube. It's fucking awesome.
The
So
what?
that whole gig, it's on YouTube. You can see it or listen to it. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Page was fucked up on that tour. It's some sloppy shit, but I mean,
Yeah.
goddamn, Bonham. There was never before or since has there been a John Bonham.
Yeah. I feel like Steven Drutz and the Flaming Lips kind of got a little close, but that's just me.
Wow, that's quite something.
Huge fucking bass drum, and he hits. I love drummers that really hit it hard. So yeah, but you saw Frank Zappa in '77 when he was doing this awesome what do you say? Awesome renditions of Black Napkins back in
Yeah, yeah.
'77. Holy shit.
You
Fucking
know that
awesome.
record, Zoolures? You know,
Pseudolures. Yeah, yeah, from
yeah.
'75. Yeah, yeah, yeah. but the way he was doing it on that, yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible. And Terry Bozzio on drums and Adrian
Right.
Belew was playing.
Right. Before we go, I really want to ask you a little bit about your solo album and your acting.
Okay.
Are you cool with that, or should you do a session just later?
Say that again?
Are you cool about talking about that for a bit, or should you just
absolutely.
Okay.
No problem.
That came out in 2013. You did everything except your friend G.R. Robinson sent you this email, which he was like outlining what he would want to do with you if he was a bestiality homosexual, right? Wasn't that
Yeah.
key? Yeah. That's the same guy from Rackmeister Harmonies, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Fuck, you were really good in that video, Night of Your Ascension. That was a really good fucking video.
You think so?
Yeah, from that album. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, you don't like it?
Nah.
And that's your hand on the album cover also.
Yeah, with the sort of flour and oil
Yeah.
and stuff.
He's been dissing out, like, he's a good friend of yours, J. Robinson, right?
Yeah, we haven't talked in years though. He lives in New York. I haven't talked to him in 6 or 7 years.
Okay. So Mike Patton demanded it. Alexander had shown you the basics of Pro Tools and you just went for it. In 99, did you like work on it for months and then let it stew, or how come it took such a long time? Can you tell me about that?
Exactly. I would work on it for a while. And I started that when I lived outside of Chicago, about 50 miles away in Indiana. And I worked on it a lot there. And then my wife and I moved out here. And I just didn't work on it for a long time.
Okay.
It was fun though. I mean, it was like, I don't consider myself a musician because I don't play an instrument and I don't really understand like the music theory and chords and stuff like that. But with the Pro Tools and with MIDI, where you can physically move the notes wherever you want and however loud you want it to last, and it was so easy and so fun to write some fucked up shit that doesn't make sense, but it's easy to do. That was a lot of fun. I don't think I'll ever do it again, but it was
really fuck, like Uncle fucking Disorienting and like wrote, what was it called, Roundhouse, and it's strong fucking Angelo Badalamenti vibes going on there, like Angelo Badalamenti Twin Peaks. Have you ever heard that?
Of course.
Okay, strong fucking, I've never heard anything like that's so strong fucking Badalamenti. That was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, at that time, I was really listening to a lot of Angelo Badalamenti, and also my previous wife, she really liked Radiohead, and I didn't want to like them, but then I started listening to them, and some of the chemistry and the way they write was kind of influential to me in the making of that record. But it was just so fun. Like, there's a song in there called Door, or The Door, and I was out one time spraying down the garage door, a metal door with a hose, and I just thought it sounded so cool. So I put the cassette recorder in the garage, closed the door, and then sprayed it down for 3 minutes. And then I cut it in half and made one half the left channel and the other half the right channel, and just made a minute and a half of
awesome noise.
Thanks. Yeah, I that's a good song.
Where can we hear the saxophone? Is that on Visualize This, or where is it?
Say it again.
I read that you used a saxophone on your album.
Yeah.
Is that on the track Visualize This? Or where is it?
Oh God, I don't remember.
Because I can hear like a drone on that song where I was like, that must be the,
It
you know.
might. I don't remember. All I wanted was like when you bite the reed on a wind instrument like that, and it goes. That's all I wanted. So I
Wait,
rented.
you bite it and you blow it at the same time?
Yeah. And he goes, and that's all I wanted. And I rented it for 2 months, and it was like $30. And have you ever tried to play saxophone or a clarinet or anything like that?
None of those. That's all like.
It's crazy. There's a million keys, and they don't do anything unless you are the armature of your mouth, like the shape of the inside of your mouth.
Right.
I don't fucking get it.
And how did they fucking make this back in the day, you know? Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've tried to trumpet, but it just fucked up my mouth, you know?
That's easy, though. It's got the 3 little things.
Yeah, but just the fucking blowing it, man.
Yeah.
But then you did the most craziest ever limited edition. You made like these fucking 9 inches tall, 6 inches wide, 1.5 inches deep, like sculpture made out of concrete. Like 50 special editions for people, you know, and put like hair into them and fucking bugs and, you know, sent them out. Did it come with an LP, the monolith?
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
it's sent separately.
Okay. Do you think you'd do a reissue of that one?
Of
like you got paid $150 for a pop, you know. I'm not gonna ask you how much of a percent you got, you know. That's personal. That's good money, but I can imagine doing all of those and shipping them out was a fuckload of work, you know.
It was a lot of work, and I threw the mold away. I can't make one.
So, before we go, I want to get a little bit into your acting.
Okay.
Okay, you started with, I think, Waltz in the City back in '94. Wasn't that like one of your first?
Yes, that was yeah. Yep.
Didn't like Duane and Jim Kimball make the soundtrack for that one?
I think so. Yeah, Denison Kimball Trio. Yeah.
Do you recommend like us hunting it up? Because I've never seen it.
Walls in the City. Yeah, it's okay. Walls in the City and Bullet on a Wire. Bullet on a Wire is better.
Okay.
Walls in the City, it's kind of amateurish, but you know, if you can find it, it's worth a watch.
I think the first thing I saw was like Walton Pink back in 2016. That was a really good one. We were playing like this guy completely resigned and like might be planning on ending his life, but it was cool how you managed to be in comedic in that one and also being miserable. That was a really, really good fucking acting.
And Gibby's pretty great in that.
Yeah, pestering you at that bar. Yeah, fucking awesome. Really good.
That was really fun.
Do you have like a favorite, you know, role you've done?
I don't feel at home in this world anymore by Macon Blair.
Yeah.
That was a blast. I mean, that was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And there's still, I have on my phone, we have a text thread with most of the cast and Macon where we communicate several times a week with Elijah Wood and Melanie Linsky and Jane Levy and Robert Longstreet and Christine Woods and Macon. It's just miraculous. It's a miracle that any movie can get made. There's so many people have to do their jobs right for a fucking movie to get made.
Right.
It's a real miracle. And that movie, all of those people I just mentioned will still tell you that was the best project they ever worked on. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. I fucking loved you as, what was it called? Marshall.
Marshall, yeah.
I really, really loved you in that. Like, you manage to be like a low-life scum criminal that I also feel sympathy for. Even when you're chasing her through the wood, it's not black and white. Very human is what I'm saying, you know.
Thank you.
And that robbery scene at that house, fucking great action, great dialogue, and my fucking fingers hurt when I watched that. You know what I mean? So, and also I have to mention the possession of Nadine, where you're playing this sadistic priest.
You've seen that?
Yeah.
Wow.
You have like a lot of great monologues in that movie. Was that all script or were you improvising?
It was all script.
Okay.
It was all 99% script.
Okay. I mean, I also loved not knowing if it was like a tongue-in-cheek comedy with all of the blood-splattered paintings all over the living room.
Yeah. I was just talking about that last night because Erin, who played the girl, she had to get in the tub with 8 bags of ice. She was in an ice water bath, and it was her boyfriend who was directing the thing. And I was going, don't make her do that. You don't have to do that. And it was just, poor girl, it was just miserable.
Was she? Okay.
Yeah. But that was, there's a part when I'm on her back whipping her, and we had a yoga mat on her back so I could hit her as hard as I wanted. And she said,
Okay.
it's fine, it doesn't hurt. But that was one of the most difficult things I've ever done. Like, as soon as we finished that scene, I just went outside and cried because I had just been whipping a fucking 25-year-old girl. It just tore me apart. It was really difficult. I mean, I think the scene is good and it works, but it fucked me up.
I can imagine getting
Yeah.
deep into the scenes. So yeah.
Yeah.
You have a new one out called A Desert. You're playing like this private detective. This guy is like an
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was very much fun. I think that's the biggest role I've ever had.
oh really?
And do you did you see Blood Simple, the first Coen Brothers movie?
The first Coen Brothers movie. Yeah, I saw it like back in '88, I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's M. Emmett Walsh plays the detective.
Yeah.
And I said to the director after reading the script, I said, this reminds me of M. Emmett Walsh in Blood Simple. He said, that's who I based it on. And I get to play that character. It was so much fun. Yeah, if you get a chance to see A Desert, it's worthwhile. It's really good.
Yeah, I think it's going around the like, you know, film festivals, but I will definitely get the one. So,
excellent, yeah.
I mean, like
there's one I have a really small part, but it's a great movie called Dinner in America.
Okay.
It's fucking great. There's no way you won't love it.
I think I've heard the name, Dinner in America. Yeah.
It's great.
So what about like Toxic Adventure? Because it got like a standing ovation last September, but then it seems not to be gonna be distributed. Have you heard about it?
I don't know, and I've asked Macon. He doesn't know. I don't know. There's some the producers or the Legendary is the production company.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it'll ever happen, if it'll ever come out or not.
Sad.
But I saw it. It's great. It's
you saw the whole thing. Okay.
I saw it in Texas at a film festival.
Okay. Two more roles I want to name check is you playing the doctor in that fucking Keith Morris insane free LSD movie. Like, that was fucking great. You were so good in that one, man. Beautiful. Really beautiful.
Thank you. It's a wild movie.
To show also you can be like this nice guys, and you also as the homeless king. I want to get like another movie with you as the homeless king. That's one of my favorites, you know.
Thank you so much.
But it's also cool to see that you're picking up speed. Like, you never had more parts in a single year than this year, 2024. Did you know? Like, does IMDb list all of, because you have 50 credit roles Is it like
Yeah, they list too much stuff. They list like videos and shit like that.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
so it seems like I've done more than I think I really have, or some of the stuff is so minuscule it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. But you doing directing with the Offspring and Dove Number, so I mean, anyways, it's been great to be on the sideline, David, and just see you blossoming out in like all of these different. It's an inspiration for sure. So
Thank you very much, Elmer.
and just thank you for your work. Like it's really gotten me through good times and bad times, and like you mean a lot to me. So it's been really an honor to have a talk with you, and I appreciate you taking your time and having it. Like for sure, I
Thank you
don't take it for
sincerely.
granted. Yeah,
I hope we get to meet someday.
sure, man. Like I've been trying to get a visa to the U.S. because I have a U.S. fiance. They've been fucking blocking me off.
Oh,
I'm an Icelandic guy, but I said something wrong in the interview, and they've been like I had to go to Canada to meet her and my stepdaughter. It's been fucking insane getting to
that's
the States.
terrible.
Yeah.
Fuck this. Fuck USA. My wife and I are moving to Portugal.
Hey, that's really funny because she's American, I'm Icelandic. We talk about these countries, and then we talk about Portugal also. It's safe. People talk English, you know, and
Yeah, we're gonna learn the language, but yeah, it's great. And everybody there just is so nice. It's like they have classes for nice in school or something. I don't know what the fuck.
have you been there?
Yeah, a couple times, yeah.
Okay.
We just went for 2 weeks. We got back last weekend.
All right. Dude, thank you for your time. All the best.
My pleasure.
Can't wait to see you.
Okay.
So we'll
All the best.
talk later, man.
Take care.
Okay, you too, man. Bye.
Thank you.